I heard a comment about business planning and things like that, and when is that needed, and all these sorts of things. Some thoughts to put together on this. First of all, we all know we're running businesses. Okay, we're not Starbucks, but we're Darren Jones Real Estate. We're not Walmart, but we're Steve Collins Real Estate. We are running businesses, and businesses check in on themselves frequently. You heard of companies having quarterly meetings and things like that. Why do you think they have quarterly meetings? Somebody lob out some answers.
I would say just kind of check in on themselves, making sure that they're still on the path that they set out, and see if they need to change course or, and then, yeah.
And why do you think they do it frequently, like quarterly for most corporations?
So people don't lose focus. We're humans. We chase the next shiniest object.
Yeah, for consistency, to stay in tune with the market, whatever market they're in. I mean, if you only had those kind of meetings as a Walmart every other year, I mean, the whole market could have pivoted, changed back and forth 3 times, right? So when we talk about business planning for realtors, first of all, let's talk about the timing of it. 2006 or 26 is just around the corner. We're a little over 60 days away. So business planning for realtors has always been historically done in October and November, not December 20th. Not, I'm going to worry about it during the holidays. Okay, that kind of stuff, which is exactly what most realtors do. Anybody guilty of that besides me? Yeah. Well, it's what we do as an industry. I'll tell you that. And then the reason we try to gather people together to do this is like forced lead gen. It forces people to stop, take a deep breath, focus on their business. So we can't wait until December. Therefore, we try to get these gatherings together much earlier than that to give you ample time to do a few things. First of all, when you're business planning in real estate, it's to stop, take a breath, and look backwards. What have I done? What were my goals? What have I accomplished? Where are the gaps in my business? What didn't I get to? What was I planning on doing that I'm 9.5 months into the year and I still haven't done it? And if I put that on my to-do list next year, what's going to change? Is it going to happen? But we've got to go look back and then also have an honest assessment of what we've done. What do our results look like? I was talking to, I don't know, Marsha. Hi, Marsha. Yeah, Marsha's on here. I was talking to Marsha yesterday, and when she got back into real estate here, we'll just say a year ago, and I'm sure it wasn't exactly a year, but whenever that was, kind of refocused into real estate. We were hoping to get some traction. She had done this before, but she knew she was going to have to put her head down. When she told me yesterday, she's right at her whole goals for all of 2025. So, hats off to Marsha, but she's looked back. She can look back and say, hey, my goals were this. Here's where I stand in relation to those goals. Here's what's working well for me. Here's what's not working well for me. I mean, if you had on your to-do list for your businesses in 2025 to do a bunch of door knocking and things like that, and you didn't get to it, maybe that door knocking is not for you. Or maybe if you did do these kind of things and got 0 results, then maybe that's not the path for you. So we've got to stop, look backwards, assess what's happened, be honest with ourselves. Did I put in the energy and effort that I said I was going to do that? I think that's actually, for me, that's the first place I check is what's my energy level? Did I meet the expectations of time committed to the business? And then next year, what's that look like? What kind of time am I going to put into it? What am I willing to do at this point? Give me some ahas or feedback just on that, looking back, assessing, and moving forward. What's that look like in your world? I can sit here forever.
You can always look back, and I can always go back and pick apart things I should have been doing better. But I mean, I'm pretty much on target for this year, but could I do different things? And remember, you got to be able to adjust because life throws curveballs all the time. So not just the market changing. We always talk about market changes. What about life changes?
Yeah.
What about what changes in your life that affects that? We've had some changes here it affects me getting out and about and being present at everything I used to be present at. And so, then how do you adjust from it? Will next year be better? I pray it will be. But what do I do to set that up for that? So, yeah, just reassessing all that, things I could have done different. So, and then trying to make sure I stay on task and do that this next time.
Yeah,
So,
that's running a business like a business versus being a cork on the water and seeing it where it takes us. And by the way, being a cork on the water and seeing where it takes us is how most realtors operate their business. And they like that because that gives them freedom and no one's going to tell them what to do and where to be and all those sorts of things. That's what attracts them to our industry. It is also what undermines most of the businesses and why the bulk of them underperform. Trisha, I know Trisha's on here, she's having this amazing year. When we got together just a couple of years ago and talked about her launching her retail business, honestly, we had every expectation she would do well, and she's exceeded those expectations. Now, the time commitment to make that happen, the stress that's involved sometimes to juggle that much business as a standalone agent, even with support. Now we have to ask ourselves, if I'm Trisha, hey, do I want to do that again? And if so, how am I going to do that more efficiently? How am I going to do that with less stress, and so on and so forth? Scott Swagger's our top individual agent. He'll probably doing the 400,000 to 500,000 GCI unassisted this year. Okay, he's a machine. He thrives on chaos. He thrives on having a million things going at once. That's not for everybody. Okay. It's not for me, to be honest with you, but especially at this stage in life. So we've got to figure out what did we do last year? What were our goals? How are we going to land here in the fourth quarter? And what, if anything, do we need to change? Who else has something to share on that for their business, for where they stand looking back and what we're going to do going forward? Bueller? Okay. Well, we'll skip that. That wasn't too exciting for you.
I have something. Yes.
Thank you, Joanna.
Okay. Well, last year me and partners re-signed for the curves, and we thought it would be, I won't say easy, but because I've done it before, and I thought, oh, this is nothing. But it's hard to juggle everything. And now it's time to re-sign for another year. And we're just really looking at this like, do we want to do, we haven't made any money, not that we were doing it to make money, but we're going to be going to the members to ask them to pay more money because we've got to be able to sustain itself, So you just have to look at it and say, your priorities. I've got way more grandkids. I've got way more stuff going on. And then you say, okay, all I got is time. And is this what I want to be doing with it? You know what I mean? And just taking a real evaluation. I haven't even made a decision. I think we're going to go forward for one more year, but it's just like, just have to reevaluate all the time and say, what are we doing? But anyway.
Yeah. There's only so much time.
I don't have any answers. I don't have any answers.
But that's great. You know what though? You've looked in the mirror and said, hey, I only have so much time. I have chosen to carve out a portion of that for that business, knowing that it's likely not going to be a profit center. It's a labor of love at this point. And you're okay with that. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's no judgment. This is what we want out of this thing. And Joanna, you have a great business. You do very well. You have an amazing niche. Your clients think the world of you. But I will say this, if we say yes to everything in our world, real estate will get squished. It will get squeezed. I promise you. And some of you guys are great grandparents and all those sorts of things. And it's so cool to see you be able to be involved in these things. Your family knows you have time flexibility and they will call on you because of that. So you'll find many of you probably need to set a little bit better boundaries. Yeah. I know Teresa on my team, she's dual career. She would be the first to admit she has to set boundaries or her time, she's always going to be running ragged. It's just how it works. Anybody else as far as their business planning on kind of how they're landing in 2025 versus what they expected, what they might want to do differently? I'd love to hear a couple more thoughts on that.
Joanna, first of all, isn't your curves business a real estate lead generating machine for you? I mean,
Well,
I mean, doesn't it?
yes.
It does, right? And
Yeah.
I think one thing I'll say about something like that, as my wife likes to say, her little makeup business has generated 4 different leads for us this year. So people
Yeah.
that she's doing that with have actually called on her to sell real estate.
Yeah.
One of the properties is it was an easy button lead that we just met with the other day. Lady lost her husband, wants to get out of town, and she had We Buy Ugly Houses come over, and we were able to slide in right behind and be heroes for her, right? But that all came from her little makeup business. So, so sometimes those little extracurricular things that we're that they'll also do help our business. So I just wanted to add that in. So,
yeah, it's true. It's true.
Carrie and I did one of the things that we had talked about at the beginning of the year was starting this networking group of professionals who deal with seniors, right? So it's called Cass County Professionals in Aging. And we're doing fantastic. We're having over 40 people show up to our meetings. We've had 5 meetings so far. We've done them at Carnegie, Benton House, Foxwood Springs, great. We got more people coming in those meetings than the Belton Chamber had at their luncheon the other day, right? But I sat down and told Carrie in the beginning, this is all great and it's a lot of work, but if it doesn't generate income for us, then it can be as pretty as we want it to be and successful and have as many people. Well, turn the corner, boom, it's done exactly what we hoped it would. I got a buyer agency out of that group. I just got a listing signed up for a $400,000 listing out of that group. The buyer agency, I'm probably going to put them under contract on some land, and then I'm going to turn around and sell their house, right? So what I hoped would happen happened. So giving the O'Connor team a little pat on the back for that, because that's exactly what we hoped this would be, right? So in that regards, I think, and that was one of the things we set a goal of getting started this year, and we got it started, and it's been successful. So I like that. I like what, I know we all sometimes everybody, okay, Keller Williams is very successful, and their lead generation model is the database and calling people this and that, getting out. But I like to call it talking to people. So my goal is always to talk to as many people as I can and hope real estate comes up in that conversation. But like Lonnie said, if I go door knocking 3 times a week for a year and I don't get a lead, I probably got a question if I want to door knock anymore, right? So that I know that I'm not an open house guy, right? So I'm very careful not to promise my listing people open houses, right? We're going to get it priced right, and we're going to get it sold. That's, kind of my deal. Even though I'll throw one in, right? I like what you said, Lonnie, about getting started on the business planning early. Our MO the last 2 years is to business plan in January for that year, right? And it would be a little bit better to get a head start. Anyway,
yeah,
that's what I had.
The last thing you want to do is be starting your year and doing your business planning for that year. That's not how businesses are run efficiently. So that's why we make the fourth quarter really a focus for realtors to stop and treat these like regular businesses are run. Again, you're not Starbucks and you're not Walmart, but yeah, in a way you are. So we've got to check in on these things. If we want to be a cork on the water and just see where it takes us, for some of us, that works out great. I will tell you, for the bulk of you, you'll have underperforming businesses. No question about it. And every once in a while, I see an agent that can do that and they crush it. And it proves everything wrong. And I'm happy for them, but it's frustrating at the same time because it sets kind of a bad precedence. And if they are crushing it, just being a cork on the water or seeing where it takes them, how much could they really crush it with a bit of structure?
Well, hey, Lonnie, it's interesting you say cork on the water, because I always picture when life happens, it's like a wave, and you do need to know how to ride the wave. But I don't want to ride the wave like a cork. I want to ride it like a surfboard, where you lean into the wave and you can control which way you lean, and you can navigate the wave that happens to all of us. Corks are just dead in the water. You're right. They go wherever the water takes them. They're tossed to and fro. But if we're more of a surfboard on the water, then we have more control over the wave. something, sorry, I've picked up a cold somewhere in St. Louis or wherever, but we were at the ALC clinic this last 2 days, and one of the things Gene Rivers said that this is really we're in a great spot, like where other places in the country, they're seeing their property values dip, like down in Florida, the property values where he's at are like almost half of what they were just a couple years ago. They've got listings, hundreds and hundreds of listings that are sitting and not moving. We don't have that, so
Yeah.
we're grateful for that. This is an opportunity though for us to pick up market share. We're not seeing that, but we are seeing a pullback. We're seeing it's a wave. It's a wave. And if we will educate ourselves, if we will figure this out instead of going, yeah, it's just a weird time in real estate, I don't know. A lot of brokerages and agents are doing that. And if we can figure this out, and if we can actually get on top of the wave and ride the wave that is the current market, figure it out. This is a great time for Southland agents to pick up market share. When other agents are out there and they can't get the house sold because they didn't price it right, because they priced it to last year's market or to 2022, 2021 market, and they couldn't get it sold. Now's our time to swoop in and go, hey, I actually can get this thing sold for you. So if we will look at this as an opportunity, Southland can really do some damage to the market in a good way. We can pick up market share right now. Now is the time to gas pedal down instead of just going, well, it's the holidays, it's December, it's whatever. Bull crap. Let's forget all that and let's put the pedal down and let's go take market share. Sorry.
So I have a question for you about pricing, because the house on Appaloosa is not going anywhere. We only lowered it 5,000. She's putting an air conditioner in the second unit. And I told her yesterday we were having this conversation about pricing and how we need to lower the price. And what her response was, nobody said anything that the price was wrong. So all of our feedback, we had about 10 feedback. Everybody said, what do you think about the price? Good, but they didn't write an offer. So she said, nobody said in their feedback that it was high. So she said, I don't think it's high.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, they didn't write an offer. They might have said something about the road. They might have said something about the heat upstairs. Whatever. It was too high for them to write an offer.
Yeah.
Market
Or they ruled it
telling
out
them.
because of the street or the age of the house or something like that.
Right.
But this comes back to our initial conversations. This is a skill-based market right now. Sandy and I have been around a long time. We've seen all good market, bad market, somewhere in between.
Mhm.
So she knows firsthand. This is the skill-based market right now. At Southland as a whole, last year, our unit count was up 15%, volume 22%, and everybody else was flat, okay? This year, we're tracking really close. We're just fractionally behind in units, slightly ahead in volume of last year. Okay, the reason that's happening is this market has become skill-based, and our average agent is slightly more skilled than the average agent. One of those skills has to be is consultations with sellers in this kind of market. I'm in the same boat Joanna's in with my different sellers. They say that all the time. The good news is I can always refer back to my initial listing presentation when I let them know about how feedback works. And you're going to get these about 75% of the time. Don't sweat it if agents don't give you any because they're rude, but we'll be trying very diligently to get that feedback. And there's two things I'll tell you. They typically aren't going to tell you what they don't like about the house because they're trying to be polite. And whatever their opinion is on price, unless it says grossly over or underpriced, is all but irrelevant. So I can always refer back to that conversation. That is part of my listing presentation, by the way. And then they'll go, well, why is that? And I go, well, two things. First of all, they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And chances are the house just didn't suit their people at any price, if we're being honest. It's too big, too small, it's close to a road, whatever they come up with. So the fact is, when the market, if it's a nice home, it's exposed properly, and no one's offering on it, it is likely overpriced for the market. And Joanna, that particular house is a tricky one because it's not a cookie cutter. At the end of the day, the market is rejecting that price. There's no question in my mind.
Well,
and as a seller, you have to find different tiers until you find the sweet spot where it starts to be, more appealing. Look at what other options the buyers have on the market for, what's that listed at, Joanna, 490 or something?
494, yeah.
Let's call it 500K. Where can you buy for
Half a
500K
million.
in Raymore? Okay.
Yeah.
Creekmore with a golf course, a restaurant, and all the amenities. Yeah. You can buy in those kind of places. We could just go on and on. What about their house says I'm spending my 500K there, right? So yes, new air conditioners, all those things are nice. And then you have what's called external obsolescence with that listing, Joanna, if we can drill down on that, and that they have exposure to a highway. I would say that 50% of the buyers would eliminate that house because of the exposure to the highway. Just my own gut feeling.
Yeah.
What's everybody else think?
Looks like David has his hand up.
Quick question. So this one that I'm under contract with now, the first time I ever did a pre-listing appraisal, and it seemed to work out great for us. The sellers were happy to spend $500 to help get a better idea of the price. What do you all think about doing that? I'm wondering about making that just kind of, standard operation at this point.
That's interesting.
Good and bad with that. First of all, let me chime in on this. First of all, I think it's our job to do that versus an appraiser. I think Sandy's been doing this 20 years. She doesn't need anybody to do an appraisal. She can come up with the comps and find a range and say, I think this is where we land and here's why. Now, at the end of the day, if you want to have an independent person do that for $500, so be it. But keep in mind, that's one person's opinion, even though they're an appraiser. If I send 3 appraisers in a unique property, they may come up at 450, 475, and 500. Okay. Yet they're all appraisers, right? How come they didn't all come up with the same number? Doesn't work that way. So you have to you just have to take it with a grain of salt. Anybody have anything to add to David's appraisal idea?
I do. So
Bring it on.
I called an appraiser. I had a seller that wanted an appraisal to, lower the price, and they were willing to pay for it. So it was during COVID when everything was like crazy. Appraisers were busy. So I called several of them, and one called me back and said, we're really busy right now. We're not really taking on private appraisals because they were so busy with mortgage companies. But he said, Nanette, I'm going to use the same comps you do. You do not need an appraisal. Why won't, you have the same access to the comps as I do. So you don't need an appraiser. And he basically told me that they should be listening to me, and I did the comps, and those are the ones that he would be using too. So there's really no need.
Sometimes having an independent person, there is value in that. And so we understand that. Unique properties, sometimes they're so hard to comp that an independent appraisal can give some validity to at least where we think it'll land. I still would argue a lot of times when people ask me that, I'll go, well, here's the deal, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. You got a house on 20 acres. It's unique. For all the reasons we've talked about, if I bring 5 different appraisers in here at 500 a pop, they may vary by as much as $100,000. So do we really want to spend that money, or do we want to just kind of use common sense and the data that I've discussed? Now, if you're let's just say Dave is listing a house in Foxhaven and Raymore. Foxhaven has the most turnover probably of any subdivision in Raymore. There's a ton of houses from 275 to 325 over and over and over and over again. Do I need a $500 appraiser to go tell me what that's going to sell for? Right? That would be silly. So that falls into, in my opinion, definitely our job. Who else has something to add?
So one time I did have where the appraiser came in. An appraisal I wanted to have one. It was my Gulf Point listing that I still have, and I've had for a long time. I'm dealing with a trust. I'm dealing with 6 children and their spouses, and everybody has a different opinion. And they priced this thing way over asking price in the beginning. And I, over and over and over again, told them where they needed to be. Lonnie looked at it. He told them where they needed to be. So then they're like, okay, let's have an appraisal. So he came out. Lonnie did not agree with this appraiser. He did not think that he should have come in at that price. So again, it's someone's opinion. I I was thankful for it because I actually thought he came in a lot higher than he was going to. So, but at least I had someone else's opinion besides me telling them, because they weren't listening to me. And still, they didn't bring the price down to the appraisal price. They kept it higher than the appraisal price. So it's
Wow.
been
You
a
should
road.
advertise that in MLS and say priced above appraisal.
Hey, Sandy, what did Gene Rivers call that when somebody is a seller, but they're not willing to do whatever it takes to get the house sold? Oh, you're muted. Can you unmute?
Unmute, yeah.
They're not a seller that wants to sell.
They're
I-
a non-seller seller.
Yeah, yeah, non-seller seller. Yeah,
Yeah, they say
and
they
that's
want to
true.
sell. They want a sign in the yard, but they're not willing to follow your direction, follow your lead, and do what it takes to actually get the house sold. So
Well,
hopefully that
Actually,
finishes
it
that well
ruins
for
our
you.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Actually, it ruins our reputation when we keep a sign in the yard for so long when all the others around us are pending. And I've had several lately that wanted to go off what others have had the homes listed in the area, which were totally wrong. And appraisers, they may see that those are listed, but they're also going to see the days on market and all of that. So I've had two that came in way under what others have listed for. And oh, by the way, we're okay on one of them. The other one's still sitting there, and we were like 60 or 70,000 less than one down the road that was just like ours.
Wow.
And so I did call her before I listed it. She said that the sellers wanted to price it that high, and she knows it's overpriced. It should have been around 265, 75, and they were at 329.
Oh my goodness.
So we're down. I said, I'm not trying to undercut your listing or anything, but I don't see any data for your price. So I'm going to go in here. And she appreciated me calling, and she did say that she's trying to get them where they need to be, but they won't do it. Well, now she's from 329 to 285, but I believe she's going to end up less than mine. That's just the market. I don't know, Lonnie, what you've seen in the past, but I've seen that if I overprice, I'm going to be about 10,000 less than what it should have been in the very beginning.
Yeah, sometimes
About every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple things to think about when it comes to pricing. When sellers say that, they'll, anything that's listed, like if I go into Creekmore right now, what's up for sale? That's what I call on the shelf. Okay. That means the consumer coming into Creekmore, that's what they're looking at. Right. So I do want to know when my listing is going to land at a particular price, how does it rate with the other ones that are on the shelf? But at the end of the day, what those houses may or may not sell for those numbers, we don't know if they'll sell at all. So when the sellers go, well, this one down the road's priced at this, I'll go, hey, why don't we focus more on the people that have actually had success? The ones that sold. You guys get that? That line will save your bacon over and over and over again. Yes, Mr. Business Seller, I do like to look at what's listed, but at the end of the day, we really want to focus on the people that have actually had success selling, because since that's what you want to do, right? You see where I'm going with that? So that just, then all of a sudden their mindset pivots to, okay, let's look at the, and by the way, sold data and also pending show for backups, because those are the most recent sales, right? Those are people that just engaged contracts. So that's really fresh buyer versus seller creating a price and so on and so forth. So yes, we look at what's on the shelf because I'm curious to see where we're slotted. But at the end of the day, most of my comparable studies are really going to be based on people having success. Who has something to add?
So
I lost power for a minute, so I don't know if I'm repeating something, addressing Joanna's problem with the price reduction. This time of year, I love to bring up that the weather's going to be crappy very soon for 3 months or 4. And if people look at her listing, they're going to buy something else. We're just not impressing that person. We're showing it to the wrong class of person. We're showing it to someone who will spend 500 grand but they're going to get something newer, bigger, nicer, not on a highway. Something will trigger them to make an offer on a different house. And so if you get down to 475, you got a whole different class of people. They've been looking at other houses. Yeah, this one's on the road, but it gives us the extra bedroom. It gives us the extra space. It gives us, whatever.
Yeah.
And so sorry if I'm repeating something somebody else brought up, but that's what I always tell people. This time of year, I lead off with the weather. And then, but all year long, I'll just tell them, hey, those people are buying something else just because it's bigger, better, newer, nicer, not on a highway, whatever. So you have to be the best house in your price range before you're going to sell. You don't want to be second best.
Yeah, my original listing presentation with him was 475. And he said he wanted 525. And I'm like, oh no, like there's no way. There's no way. So I got him to go down to 499, but he wanted more than 5. And like I said, I told him 475. And so I will call them and talk with them again a little bit and see if we could discuss another price reduction. But anyway.
I would be happy to look at the comps because that's such a tricky house, Joanna. I'd be happy to look at the comps with you and just kind of say, I don't know what the square footage, bedroom, bathroom. I know it sits next to a highway, garage count, finished basement. I know it's nice inside, but in that 400 to 500 category in Raymore, outside of Creekmore, especially in those more mature, established neighborhoods, off Sunset and those different streets, I wonder what's sold to help justify any value in that range.
Yeah.
So just let me know if I can help. I'm happy to look at it. So
Here was-
let's go ahead.
Oh, so sorry. If you want to move on, we can.
No, please. Go ahead.
Again, forgive me. I was just in 2 days of really powerful training. But another thing Gene Rivers said, and this kind of goes along with what we're talking about with pricing, and I told you, well, he has not him personally, but he knows of a seller in the Panama Beach area who bought a beach house for 1.5 million on the water 3 years ago. Now he needs to sell it, and so he went in at $1 million, knowing he wasn't going to get the 1.5, and it sat there. He's finally reduced the price down to $850. Gene believes it's actually worth $750, half price of what he paid for it 3 years ago. And the seller said, well, wait a minute. I thought my asset was supposed to appreciate. I can't lose that much money. And Gene said, yeah, well, it was appreciating at one point. It was. But you took your eye off the market. You weren't studying the market. That ended about a year ago. And now this is where we're at. So this is the best I can do for you in this market. Now, we didn't sell it a year ago, and I don't know how long it'll take us to get back there. I don't know if you have that much time to wait. And of course he doesn't. So he's going to take a huge loss on this. But I thought that was cool to say, because then it's not us. It's not, I think a lot of times us as listing agents, we feel responsible to get them what they want. We obviously don't determine or set the market. All we can do is interpret the market and educate them. That the climbing market for that part of Florida. Yep. So sorry. That ended last year. This is where we're at today. It's kind of like I was talking with Paul and Jake at the table, and I'm not in the stock market, so those of you that are may understand this, but stocks rise and they fall, just like everything else. They rise and fall. And so if you buy your stock at a certain price, and when you go to sell it, if it's down, you're not going to get mad at your stockbroker. You might be mad at yourself that you missed the market, that you didn't catch it on the good day or the good time. And so, but for some reason, real estate agents, we feel responsible. We get emotionally attached. We kind of, if we're not, it's not our responsibility, guys. Yeah. It's our job to educate them, if that makes sense. And I think for me, hearing that, going, I don't know, it just made me feel better going, yeah, sorry, seller, you missed the great market. It's not my fault. Your house is now worth half of what it was. Does that make sense?
And we're so lucky because our market is just cooling off. It's right. Not, those are the extreme markets. And by the way, that house was probably a $400,000 house when he, 5 years before it went to $1.5 million. So, it went vertical and he just happened to top tick the market. So we're in more of a steady Eddie market but our values are still going up, albeit at a much slower pace. And that should be welcome news to any seller because of what Brandy just said in some of the extreme markets. There's more than half the markets nationally, values are down year to date. Okay, Kansas City's not one of them. So it might be, who knows? We could see that at some point. I doubt it. I think we're just probably flatline for a little bit until rates finally get down to a level where we take off again. But we've got to understand that conversation. That's a skills-based conversation. That's an agent being able to say, hey, I'm interpreting the market for you. I don't make it, but every week this house sits here, the market is declining what we're bringing to the market. So what do we change? Do we improve the house, or do we improve the price, or do we do both? Something has to change. Now, there are houses that are just unique enough that they're actually probably priced right, but they're so unique, it just requires a ton of patience because they have to just let a lot of buyers eyeball this thing till that needle in a haystack is found. I don't know who I was talking to. Teresa Ziegler the other day. She's got one of those, log home on acreage, luxury, all that stuff. It's probably priced right, but it's just the needle in a haystack buyer, right? So she's just going to be time on task. Nothing will kill an agent's momentum more than getting stuck on one or two listings with high maintenance sellers and they don't perform. Tom, does that sound familiar?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Sucked the life out of you for 30 days, didn't it?
It did.
David was on the call, I think, or is on the call. He and I had one we talked about last year. We've all been there, guys, and it's part of the business. If you touch enough listings, you will have some that just don't perform, period. And many times it's not your fault at all. So just know that's part of this business. They're not all going to perform. In the best markets, you may have 95% of your listings get to the closing table. In a normal market, that does not happen. So just know you're going to have to get more listings. It's just how it works. Anybody have anything else to add regarding pricing? We're good. Okay, awesome. So a couple more. I'm going to take you guys down a couple paths here real quick. First of all, I firmly believe that even in spite of what's been a 3-year recession in real estate, I just told you how the office is doing. We're holding our chin up really well. Within the sales we're doing, they have slightly shifted to the little bit more experienced agents, telling us it's a skill-based market. Okay, so that the reality is I've got to be better. I've got to be more trained, more educated, more informed, okay, to compete in today's market. So as I'm telling you that, I'm looking at our number of participants and it says 21. We have 125 agents, 124 agents in our market center. Now, many have jobs and things like that. So the buy-in isn't there to improve our skill set. The buy-in isn't there as agents to improve our standing in this industry. And if we don't, we're not going to get our unfair share. That's just how this thing works. So skill-based is where we're at, and it will serve you well. Now, I see people like, I don't know if Shelby's on the call today. Shelby's was our rookie of the year last year. She's exceeding her numbers this year. And by the way, she's been in the business all of 2.5 years or so. Okay. How's that even possible? Because she's very learning based. She's working on her craft constantly. She's marketing herself constantly. She's treating it like a business. She's getting the results. Our current rookie of the year right now is James McClay. He'll probably finish rookie of the year. Same thing. He's the mayor of Butler, I like to call him. He's always working on his business. Therefore, he's going to have success in any kind of market.
Is he really the mayor of Butler?
No, I just call him that.
Okay.
And he does not want to be, he wants his business to shift out our way, and he's working some different systems to make that happen.
Okay.
But very talented guy, and he will take this very, very far. Scott Swaggart rolled in the other day. Many of you guys know Swag Time, and picked up a check that was over $50,000. One check, one closing. Okay. I have never had a $50,000 check on a deal. Has anybody on here? Probably Nate. I don't know. But that's unbelievable. But guess what? That guy's addicted to business. His mind is racing about all of the different facets of the business, literally 24/7. And I'm not saying we need to all run at that pace, but you're seeing a consistent theme here. The people that are focusing on this thing are getting the results. The ones that are just waiting to see what's going to happen or blaming the market isn't all that great. I hear that on my calls all the time. Agents that work at different companies go, "Hey, Branson, how's it going, man? Man, this market's tough, isn't it?" I don't really know what to say. I'm embarrassed to say, I don't know if I would call it tough. It's just different. But I just kind of nod and go along with whatever they're, pouting about. But you guys are all sitting on a keg here. I mean, if you're part-time and you're looking to generate 20, 30, 40 grand out of the business, it's all there right in front of you. If you're full-time and you just want to get this thing to 6 figures, if you're already at 6 figures, you want to go multiple 6 figures, so your $200,000 business to 500, that's all right in front of you and attainable. You just have to decide, am I going to hit the levers necessary to make that happen? I really, once again, it'll never happen, but if I could get everybody into that freaking office where they were around each other, lead generating and focusing on their business 90 minutes a day, and where we had a board and it was just the number of contacts you made, text, phone call, emails, and then appointments set, just like kind of bold activities, our volume in our business would actually go through the roof. But so far, I haven't been able to force people to do that. Any thoughts on what I just shared?
My thought would be, Lonnie, that if as we are doing what it takes to ramp up the business and get back on track with that, if you're off track, but it's also a time to tighten up your systems. If you don't have great systems, now's the time to do it. What does your follow-up look like? What does your lead gen system look like? What does your seller system look like? Your buyer system? There's always something to be working on and improving, even if it's a slower time for you or however it works. You can be doing something to move your business forward.
Agreed. And just get 1% better all the time. You don't have to do sweeping changes, but we've just got to continually improve in small bits to get where we need to go. We have all kinds of training, whether it's in the market center for team meetings, these calls, all the different training that we're putting together. Caesar's doing some amazing things for our market center. We should have a far larger amount of engagement than what we're getting. What if I'm greedy? I just told you we're kicking everybody's ass, and that's great. But I'm greedy. I want to run way ahead of these people. And then when we get the tailwinds of the market, then we're just set to explode. Every month, and this was described to me on a call, every month that the rates stay at these kind of levels are more and more buyers, first-time home buyers for starters, that are putting off buying. So that rubber band keeps getting pulled back and back and back. And every month that these people are in their 3-bedroom house and they want a 4-bedroom house, but they're staying in it because their rate's so stinking low, that rubber band's getting pulled back even further and further. And what makes that thing snap is when all of a sudden those mortgage rates make a significant move. You bring all the first-time home buyers that have been sitting on the sidelines. You get a bunch of mortgage handcuff people to say, hey, good enough, and they're ready to sell and buy. And all of a sudden, our $4 million a year in annual sales nationally goes back well above 5. You see a 25% jump just like that. And by the way, when that happens, values are going to raise higher likely as well. So the commission dollars available aren't 25% more commission dollars. It might be 35% more commission dollars. You guys understand that correlation? But we've got to go ahead and get better at our craft now versus wait for that to happen, if that makes any sense. Anybody have anything to add to that?
I think, Lonnie, when you talk about, am I muted? Our craft, and when I got into business in 2020, right? COVID and I came into business at the same time. So, and the only skill set that I really needed at that time was to lead generate and get listing appointments. And then to get the listing appointment, the house sold itself, right? So now I feel like there's 2 parts of this business that I need to master. The one I just talked about, the lead generating and getting the listing appointment and getting the listing. But now the second part that I got to master is getting the house sold, right? Because that really wasn't a problem when I first got into business. It sold itself. So that's one of the things, just me, 5 years into the business, that that's my new thing. I've had getting it priced right, getting it marketed right, getting all of those things, and then learning to have the conversation with clients when it's been on the market for 30 days, because I never had to do that before, right? So yeah, it's a new market and it's a new mastery. So
I have a question. It's not related to any of these things.
Go ahead.
So the client appreciation party coming up on November 1st. So we got people coming, you know, you're reserving tables. Are we kind of supposed to give them a gift when they come, or is it just, you know, I don't want to get there and everybody's giving their clients stuff and I don't have anything for them. I wasn't really planning on giving gifts, so I just wanted to get everybody's input on that.
No, everybody's supposed to bring something for me. That's the only, yeah, just for me. So.
We're not doing gifts. You know,
Okay.
we are going to provide a ticket to the people, and I'll probably,
Yes.
you know, buy them an extra beer or something. But I personally won't do gifts.
Yeah.
Is anybody doing gifts? I'm not aware of that, but not that that's a
No.
bad idea.
No, I'm buying their tickets, and I thought that's kind of enough.
Yeah.
Kind of. So,
Joanna,
okay.
being around you is a gift in itself. That's how you got to look at it, right?
Okay.
But let's talk about that again. We got 21 business owners on this call. At the end of the day, our office is trying to create an environment where people just plug in and can be more productive. These calls, team meeting, you know, our core agents that have been with us a long time, they're just wired to help each other. Paul Fife, you know, will talk to me about tech. He doesn't have to take the time to do that, but he does. He's just how he's wired. He's Kellerized, in other words. We just have a lot of people that are built that way. So we provide this platform for this party on November 1st for our agents, knowing not all of them will utilize it, but just knowing it's there. All the work is done for you, except for the part where you have to lead generate. You have to do the touches to your key people in your database that you want to invite. And then you have to cater to those people that are actually going to show up. And if you have 2 people there or 22, the reality is the value is in the invitation. The invitation shows you care about them and that you're thinking about them. And they're like, oh man, we're going to be at the Mizzou game in Columbia that weekend, but thank you so much for thinking about us. That's so cool. Let us know how it goes. You guys see the value in that. I can already tell most of us are well behind where we would like to be with confirmations of people coming to that. Or is it just me? Okay, yeah, most of us are. So what are we going to do about it? When are we going to carve out 2 or 3 hours and get the distractions away from us and go, okay, I'm going to focus. I sent 60 emails to these people. Now I'm going to text or call and say, hey, you saw my email. I just wanted to be sure, see if you guys were going to be able to make it. Get that exchange going, that conversation. And you'll get 75% won't be able to make it. But again, it's the touches with the people, guys. That's the value here. But again, this will be no different than all these. There'll be people that do really well, and then other people are going to say, gosh, I underperformed. I did not use this like I should have. Even trick or treat stuff. Okay. What do you call it, Nanette? What's it called?
Trunk or treat.
Trunk or treat. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I have no kids. But anyway, that's a great opportunity to just send a flyer and go, hey, if you want to bring the kids or grandkids by, we're doing this thing. We do it for the community every year. Love to see you. And 90% of the time, the people are going, hey, we got other stuff going on. I can't make it. I'm at the Mizzou game or whatever excuse. But again, the invitation that you thought of them has massive value. And I will tell you, again, we always have great events, but it will underperform compared to what it can be. Give me some thoughts on that.
I've got a little bit.
No.
We are, this is something I think we've advertised at a really high level for the event on the 1st. And it really started because I knew I wasn't gonna have time to do it. So I paid another agent, I think $75. It took them a couple hours. They created a text, and I was able to get the text. In the text, it had a link to the flyer. It had the address, location, and then it had a link directly on the text message that you can click on, took you to Google form to RSVP. And so that was one side of it. And then they created a smart plan for me with 3 follow-up emails with basically the same information, where it went out to the people that I selected in my database to go out and hit them. And at 3 different times prior to our deadline. We currently have 43 people RSVP'd to come. And so I'm kind of excited for that. And the buy-in at $10 a piece, plus the time that I spent, like I'm all in $500, you know, I'll buy a couple extra drinks and stuff too, but still $600 roughly, probably $700 to hit 43 people. I'm pretty sure that the value is going to be there to at least get a deal out of that somehow, or at least be top of mind with all those people, those VIPs, so to speak. So yeah, I just echo that. And I knew it wouldn't get done if I did it. So that's why it was valuable enough for me to just say, hey, I'm going to pay somebody else to do it. And they did it, and it was great.
So Joe, are you also reserving the tables, like the 250 a table?
I
for
didn't
them?
this time, mainly because we have 43 people and that'd be a lot of tables. So for me,
So
I
how do
haven't
you,
done that.
what are they gonna do? They're just gonna like stand up, just stand around, I guess.
I don't know how that's going to
No,
work.
there's tables. Everyone
Yeah.
had tables.
Yeah, what?
They'll have a table, they just won't be designated for my clients. So they'll have to find open seating or something, I'm assuming. So
Okay, okay.
Yeah, don't overthink it, you guys. This is just about touching people that are in your world, advancing the business relationship. You know, I use the term monetize. I know not everybody's a huge fan of that. I don't care. The reality is these people are going to do business and refer business to someone. You get to choose where you rank in their world. And these are the kind of invites that move you up in their eyes. You can do them or not do them. And if you don't, your competition will be doing it. Okay. And you will drop. I don't care if they're in your VIP list. If you don't take care of these people, they're going to slide right out of that category. Trust me. It happens to us. And I think we're pretty good at it. Anybody else?
Yeah, I was just going to say, great job, Joe. My daughters actually sent out our invitations. I don't know who's coming, and I really feel out of the loop, so it's really driving me nuts. But I can find out. But I was just going to say, I think it's worthwhile. You did the first part. You got them coming, but it's important to have a plan of discussions we might have with them. They're casual but intentional, and then also follow up. I mean, you can get 2 or 3 more touch points after the fact. So I think you got to plan ahead. Maybe have that follow up email or thank you card written up already before the event, so it can go out immediately afterward. You know, I think there's a lot more steps that we can do to be ready, so we're not 2 weeks afterwards thinking, oh shit, I should buy some thank you cards. You know, really be intentional with that and get as many touch points as possible.
put a quick Google Keep note on your phone. So that way, when you have a conversation with them, you can put a couple keywords in there to make a really specific thank you after. I love that. That's fantastic.
Well, so we're at how many days away from this event? 8 days, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 8 days from the event. If you guys have sent out invites, first of all, if you haven't, I would rush and try to find, okay, who's my top 20 people? Then I'm going to send a personal invite or a personal call, text, whatever. But let's just say you've sent out some invites and half the people didn't even respond. And that's what we found is the case. Then I'm not focusing on right now on the people that said they're going yeah, I think we'll see you there, that kind of stuff. I'm actually focused on the people that didn't respond. And just go, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, just want to be sure you got my invite to our client appreciation event. Love to see you there. They'll respond when you do that second follow-up. Now, they may respond and go, yeah, we got it. We just can't go. Oh, no worries, man. I'm glad, and then, but that touch, that confirmation, there's the value in that. I'm not going to let it just sit as an invite that didn't get responded to. That's bad business, guys. If you're going to do that, don't send out the flipping invites. You've got to go ahead and work that group of people that you chose to invite. Just my 2 cents. Anybody have anything to add as far as the client appreciation event?
I just want to add, I appreciate it getting organized for us.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
think
awesome.
Stephanie and Ryan are not on here, and I know they just got back from a trip, so I haven't even had a chance to chat with them. But last I knew, they still need people to donate bottles of whiskey valued at $30 and above for our fundraiser. Remember, all of the proceeds go to charity on this event. And then also make sure you're ordering your tickets so that we kind of keep up with the head count. And there's a link on a Google Drive to do that.
We tend to order our tickets very late in the game.
Yeah.
That's just from previous events. By the way, I've got 2 bottles of whiskey I'll be bringing in. I haven't seen the Fed, so I haven't had a chance to talk to them. So here's something that's really interesting. I saw this posted on Facebook the other day, and I thought it was absolutely. It's just says brutal truth. The reason your habits don't align with what you actually end up doing is because you don't see yourself as that person. And the reality is we all start like a conditioning program, a diet program, a weightlifting program.
Thank you. I
And
know we're
it
at
fails at
43. I'm trying to, I think that's good. But
Hey, Joe, you're muted. Can you mute? Thanks, buddy. it fails because we really don't see ourselves as that. We try something else that we want to focus on, and it doesn't quite work. And I think our businesses are exactly the same thing. At the end of the day, there's not anybody that doesn't know the things they need to be doing. Okay, you've heard it enough times. You see people having successes. Why is it we're not doing it? Why is it still that it doesn't get done? And kind of just go internal and just go, man, maybe this is just what I'm meant to be. And I'm meant to have this kind of business that just porpoises up and down quarter to quarter. Who the hell knows how it's going to be? If the market gets really easy, I'll make a crap ton of money. If it gets hard, I'm just going to be on beans and weenies for a while. What are your thoughts on that, on habits and how it affects your business and your outcomes on different things?
Lonnie, I think you're absolutely correct. Part of it for me, to be honest, is, I really had to do a deep dive on this a few years ago. And I really, I had the belief that I didn't deserve anything above mediocrity, just deep in subconscious, just deep down. And I really had to reckon with that and still do at times. And, until, only as I'm directly working on that and countering that, processing that, only as I do that do I begin to express or experience increased levels of success in different areas of my life. So.
Love it. Anybody else on habits and how it affects your outcome? So if, for example, if somebody comes in and goes, hey, I got a new goal, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. Getting up and exercising probably going to help with that. Would you agree? Sleeping right? Yeah. Water intake? Yeah. Less stress? Yes. Eating right, of course. The second those habits start to change, what's the scale look like? Goes the other way, maybe? Yeah, anybody else do that? Or is it just me? I get really focused on my fitness and I start making some huge progress, and then life happens and where we go on a vacation and it changes. Our business is exactly the same way, guys. We get into a little, and that's why we do the things, and those of you that just wrapped up Bold, we do the Bolds and those kind of things as much as anything for people, even during just a short window, to realize if I actually do this stuff consistently, I have a high probability of getting better results. That's why we do those things. And for some people, those things stick. And sometimes they don't stick, but then people go, Sandy and I have done this before. We did while we're in Bold, we're pretty efficient. We get out of it, we're back to our old ways. And then when we need to kind of ramp things up, we kind of go back to doing some of the stuff we did in Bold. Sandy, right? Where's Sandy? Yeah, she does it. I see her do it. And that same thing. She does a lot she just gets back to those activities. So does anybody have a real quick problem we need to help collectively solve? We talked about pricing for Joanna's deal. Anybody have anything?
Hey, can I just share something that happened to my client last week?
Yep.
So I got a listing here on Double Y, right up the street from my house. Darren's client's actually buying it. My client's moved out prior to listing it. So I've got pictures online, the house is vacant. Last week, someone broke in. The house is completely fenced with a 6-foot fence all the way around, secure gate on the front. They cut through the gate on the back corner, cut through the fence, the chain link, busted in the back door of the house. Nothing's in the house. Then they went into the shop and stole the 0-turn mower that I actually was going to buy for my client. So that kind of sucks. But more ways than one. And, so my neighbor, a friend of mine, he said, that's why when I sold my house, I didn't allow any pictures of the vacant house to be online. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. This happened. My client turned his Wi-Fi off like 2 days prior to this happening. So his cameras were ineffective. And now he just fixed the door and he's got a $3,000 lawnmower stolen. So just thought I'd share that, something to think about with our more rural listings, especially. But
yeah, that's good.
My guess is bad people could probably figure out what's vacant, not vacant pretty easily.
True.
I think photography is pretty important, so I've always included it. But I would say in a rural area, you could make a case for it being less important and maybe maybe not do it. We've always done it, never had a problem.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Could have digital staged it maybe or something, so it'd be a
Yeah.
little harder to figure out. But
there you go.
but I'm not blaming myself. The client didn't blame me.
Yeah.
It just kind of sucked. You know, I'm the one that found it too. So I called the sheriff, and
Yeah.
it took a couple hours of my time that day to
Yeah.
get. So just thought I'd throw that out there. Kind of sucks, but
Yep.
bad people are out there. But
hey, this business throws us a different curve all the time, guys. So, you know, keep your chin up, share with the leaders, let us know how we can help support you in this racket. You know, last challenge, we're 8 days out on an event that you need to be on the phone. You need to be texting, emailing your people and get the invite out. Oh, they're not going to go. Perfect. Invite them. Again, the value's in the invite. Oh, they won't go. They're fuddy-duds. Perfect. Invite them. You guys get it? Okay. So you've got 8 days to make those invites. Okay. By the way, if you wait until 2 days before the event and that's the first time they've heard of it, that's actually kind of insulting. You guys get it? Hey, by the way, I'm having a client event tomorrow. Can you make it? Right? So you leverage this thing, guys, and you'll see if you don't do it, you're going to be pissed because you're going to see people crushing it and you're going to wish you were one of them. That's all I got. You guys go have a good day.
There's one other thing that might happen too is your client may get invited by another agent and show up there. I had that happen before.
Yeah. I had somebody in my database in Ashley Dwyer's free coffee thing the other day.
Yeah.
Don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself. Our people know a lot of people, right? That's just how it works.
Do.
But we constantly get to decide where we're at kind of in their world. And as we show value to them, as we show that we care about them, we move up. If we let it go dormant, we slowly slide out. That's just how this thing works. Everybody have a good day. Thanks for your time.
I have a question. Okay, so if you're paying for your tickets for your clients, what about people that you think you're going to be doing business with? Do you just invite them and let them buy their own ticket, or are you paying for everybody's ticket? That's what I want to know.
If you're inviting them, I'd recommend paying for their ticket.
You don't recommend paying for their ticket?
I do recommend paying for it.
No matter who you invite?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my thought. Like,
okay.
They're your guest.
Of course, I'm also not inviting people that I don't want there. Like I have a couple clients that I'm purposely not inviting, unfortunately.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Very good. That's what I needed to know.
We sent out 80 invites roughly, though, of 360 in our true database. So we identified who we really wanted to target for this thing. So good luck with that, guys. Okay. You get to decide. You're 8 days out. Right. If you wait till Monday or over the weekend, it's likely too late. So get into action. See you guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.